front page of the Times newspaper from last week really only had one story. And there's really only been one story which has dominated the news in the last week. Mandelson facing full criminal investigation. He was the enemy within. There was a litany of deceit. His behavior was beyond infuriating, and he betrayed his party, Parliament, and the country. The words of the Prime Minister in the House of Commons last Wednesday at Prime Minister's Questions in relation to the now disgraced peer and former ambassador, Peter Mandelson. By sending highly sensitive information to a foreign source, effectively conspiring against the government he had sworn on oath to serve, and the serious allegations now made against him of misconduct in public office, Peter Mandelson, one of the architects of New Labour, has ironically been found to have been the enemy within. The enemy within. His actions truly reprehensible. Joshua, the leader of the then nation of Israel, recognized the power and the influence of the enemy within the camp. A man called Achan, whose actions were reprehensible, whose behavior was beyond infuriating, his misconduct warranting action. He was the enemy within the city of Ai, those who were against the children of Israel and who had to be destroyed. Like the Prime Minister, Joshua recognized, albeit perhaps too late, the power of the enemy within. And if you look at Peter Mandelson, money, sex, and power is a fateful cocktail. And Joshua made sure that his soldiers, his cabinet, if you like, were well prepared to fight the battle. The enemy within is the appropriate theme for our reflections this week as we journey with Joshua and dig into the narrative of Joshua 7. Israel has just been involved in the greatest military conquest in their history. They've just witnessed the tremendous defeat of the city of Jericho, and they're basking in the afterglow, as it were, of that great event. But verse 1 tells us that God was upset with the people. Israel thought that everything was all right. They thought that they were standing on the edge of a great string of victories that would see them conquering the entire land of promise. All was going swimmingly. Yet what they didn't know was that there was a problem in the camp. There was a Mandelson in their camp. There was one in their midst who was causing a problem for the entire family of God. There was an enemy within. An enemy within. And for our opening reflection today, we want to think very briefly about the defeat that there was. As I've said, Israel was basking in the glow of their victory at Jericho. And as they looked at Ai, they felt that little town would be no problem for such a great army as theirs. Israel was a confident people. But a closer look reveals that their confidence was misplaced. In verse 3, they feel that just a few of the soldiers are needed to secure a victory in little Ai. Israel didn't realize it, but they were living through one of the most dangerous times of life. And it causes me to say this, that the time after a great spiritual victory, or a time after God's working in our life in a significant way, is often a very dangerous time. The time when the evil one, the enemy within, can come in. Often, like Israel, we can be overconfident and believe that we can handle any battle which comes our way. Israel was also a conquered people. When Israel went up to Ai, they suffered a terrible defeat, and 36 of their number were killed. Must have been very, very devastating to the Israelites. However, when we take time to look more closely at their actions, it's easy to see that they make several mistakes. Mistakes which we can be guilty of making as well. Because nowhere in the narrative does it even hint or specifically say that Joshua and the children of Israel sought the will of God for dealing with Ai. They didn't even pray about the matter. If they did, I think God would have revealed the problem of the enemy in the camp, the enemy within, before people died. And we're often the same. We rush in. We rush in, as it were, to situations instead of praying to God first. They also didn't take the Ark of the Covenant into battle. The Ark symbolized the presence and the power of God. They went into battle in their own strength, and as a result, they failed. Israel was also a confounded people. After the terrible defeat at the hands of Ai, the people of Israel are feeling the same fear that their enemies experienced. Israel didn't know at this point what was wrong. Things had gone against them. All they knew was that they'd suffered their first defeat. What a situation to be in. Thankfully, God wants his people, you and I, to have the victory and not the defeat. And so what does God do in the narrative of Joshua 7? Well, he takes the necessary steps to reveal to the nation of Israel just exactly where the problem lies. The problem lay with a Mandelson in the camp. The problem lay with an enemy within. Join me tomorrow in Teaching Truth as we delve further into this challenging narrative from the book of Joshua.